Yo, what's up, man?
What's up, Mark? How you doing?
How you doing?
Doing great. Welcome to episode 3 of the podcast. Today we have a special guest to get today. We have a former reporter at WPRI and WVEI host, or WEI, and Bryant University graduate, as well as a current 98.5 The Sports Hub fill-in host and weekend host. We have the one, the only, Mark Dondero. Mark Dondero, welcome to the show. Happy to have you
Hey,
on.
thanks for having me. I appreciate the intro. Good stuff.
Thank you for that. What do you call it? Thank you for those kind words, Mark. As we'll get into this interview in just shortly. Before I want to start off today's interview, why did you want to become a sportscaster, and how did you break into the business of sportscasting or sports radio?
Well, I was like something, Will, that I just kind of thought I'd be first off interested in. Um, I had a passion for the sports and then I guess the creative part of the business I was always drawn to, and that was more aligned with what I used to do in TV at WPRI, like you mentioned. Um, and then I just really got competitive about it and really enjoyed the work. I mean, I loved going to work every day when I was doing TV, and the same thing at 98.5 or doing radio stuff. I just love it. I love trying to figure out the best way to present a point or coming up with something that people haven't heard before and presenting the point that way, and trying to find ways to incite emotion in people, whether that's laughter or insightfulness. If I think of something that they maybe haven't thought of, or if I present something that they don't really necessarily think, um, or at least had heard before I had said it, or anything like that, that makes people interested in the sport or the production or whatever I'm doing. That's always been a challenge that's excited me, and it really hasn't changed much over the last 15 or so years.
For sure, 100%. One of your more infamous moments or noteworthy moments, maybe not one of your best moments, but one of your most noteworthy moments is the Jimmy Kimmel incident back in 2017. You want to give any background to that? And
I
how
mean,
did it all happen?
it's interesting. See, that's interesting how you framed it, because yeah, it was. So first off, that was a planned bit. I planned that I was going to screw up like that. I told everyone, the director, the producer, get ready. Here's what's going to happen. It was a way of, like, I guess, executing a metaphor for how the Patriots defense played that day. It was honestly one of the proudest moments of my career, because the Jimmy Kimmel show picked it up. I know he played it off or whatever, like it was an accident, and I saved myself at the end. But the fact that they picked it up, like I said, was a proud moment for me, because that was something that I thought up that they thought was funny enough or noteworthy enough that they used on their national program. So that was good. It was all good until my station in Providence caught wind of what happened and suspended me 2 days without pay.
Yo, they don't. No way they
Um,
suspend you for 2 days.
yeah, that was disappointing. That was a disappointing outcome. But they thought I put the station in like in a light that made at the time that made them look incompetent or something. I don't agree. I think a lot, like 90. I feel like 99% of the people, 9 out of 10 people, whatever you want to call it, knew that I was joking, but they saw it a different way, so whatever. But that's still one of the highlights of my career. And having, it's hard to get recognized for an on-camera lead-in like that. Usually those are just kind of standard, but to see the creativity you put in pay off like that was pretty cool. So that was a proud moment for me.
Uh, all I have is one question. Why would they suspend you? I feel like that was like a really funny moment, like, especially like the fact that you got on national news, such a huge show like Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Well, I think the station and the leadership at the time at that station was just a little bit more conservative, and they really weren't interested in people going outside the box and trying to be funny. Their brand overall was more serious, and I just feel like they thought that was a little too fun for them, and they wanted a more serious approach to the news. And I was having too much fun, so they try to send a message. It is what it is.
Yeah, that sucks. This question wasn't
Yeah.
even in my
Yeah.
scripts,
Yeah.
but this question, by the way, this question wasn't even in my script, but I realized your last name is Dondero. I think that's an Italian last name. If you would like to answer this question, what is your favorite pizza chain in Massachusetts or just in the New England area?
I mean, geez. Um, we just had Caserta Pizza down in Federal. We went to a Providence Bruins game. They've got great pizza, Caserta at Federal Hill. Highly recommended. Locally, um, there's a place, the Medfield House of Pizza in Medfield, Mass, is always a local favorite of mine. Um, and there's another place called it's in Walpole, Massachusetts. It's called Rico's Pizza, Walpole, Massachusetts. Excellent pizza there too. Big pizza fan. Don't get to eat it all that often, but I love pizza.
Unfortunately, I have not been to any of those places. I'm personally a Portuguese
Okay.
person, so we're not really known for anything besides Cristiano Ronaldo. But my favorite pizza place in Massachusetts or just in the New England area, Papa Gino's, bro. That shit's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's a good spot. Hey, we used to have one in the town I lived in, but they just went out of business and they left. But always enjoyed Papagino's.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if this show can get sponsored by Papa Gino's, I'd be really happy. But I'm not sure if
Be
that's gonna
great.
happen. You know.
That'd be
Anyways,
great.
for sure, Mark. So I'm pretty sure you've been on the air for at least 10 plus years. I mean, there's been a lot of great moments in Boston sports over these past few decades. What has been your favorite on-air moment slash best sports story, whether it be at WEEI or WVEI, WPRI, or 98.5 The Sports Hub?
I mean, I remember I mean, I used to love going to the Bill Belichick press conferences. It wasn't
Oh
really on
yeah,
the
I remember
air,
that.
uh, but I did. I used to go to their. You know, I was a beat reporter for the Patriots for 5 years. I remember I was on the air and had to do highlights just after the Super Bowl ended. We were the Fox affiliate when the Patriots completed the 28-3 comeback against the Falcons. That was a big, like, that was fun and crazy to be on the air and talking about that in real time as the comeback was completed. Um, and like anytime I'm on a show on 98.5, I mean, that's such a powerful station with a big audience. I did Felger and Maz recently. Like it's always a thrill to be on
You were on
a
today,
show like
right?
that. Today, yeah. So it was just really cool always to be on with them and to kind of just mix it up with those guys or whoever at that station. So it's always fun to be able to, those are the standard bearers for Boston sports media. So it's always great to be on with them and to kind of, see how you stack up with the best of the best.
100%, Mark. Leading into what we just said a couple seconds ago, you used to be a Patriots beat reporter, and you used to ask Bill Belichick a lot of tough questions. How did that all go down, and how did that improve your resume?
Well, I don't know if it did improve my resume, honestly. I wouldn't change a thing. I don't know if I don't know if a part of me made some people in Boston look at me because at the time I got a lot of criticism for some of the questions I asked. Some of the radio shows at the time made fun of me. They joked about me, and I don't know if that made other people, other places in the market, TV stations, look at me with a side eye. I thought what I was doing was getting traction, and people were entertained by it, and that would make me more appealing. But I fear the opposite happened. So I don't know if it actually helped me in my resume and my career. But like I said, I wouldn't change a thing. The way I went at him and the back and forth we had and trying to make it funny, and those press conferences were always they were such a dry experience a lot of times. And Bill Belichick, but he doesn't want to give you
Yeah.
anything. I tried to make them funny and make it humorous, and I sort of became. I mean, when you look back on it, it's sort of like I don't want this to make too big of a deal out of it, but it's sort of like my legacy in a way. Like I'm sort of known as, even people that I meet or didn't know back then or came to the market after I had finished with the Patriots and reporting on the Patriots. They know me or refer to me as, oh yeah, the Belichick questions, the Belichick guy. Like you were the guy that always asked all those questions. So it's sort of become part of my legacy for better or worse. So I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but like I said, I wouldn't have changed my approach at all. I thought it didn't really fit the setting necessarily, but I was trying to ask him more off the cuff, loose questions that I thought were entertaining. If I had to go at him for something serious or confront him on something, I would. And he didn't like that all the time, but I wouldn't have changed the way I approached that for anything.
Very good approach when it comes to sports media and sports radio in general. In my opinion, even though you're probably not the most well-known Boston sports host or Boston sportscaster, I do feel like you're one of the more interesting Boston sports personalities in the fact that you're very entertaining, but you've also had a lot of big moments, you know? So my question for you is, what is your advice to upcoming sportscasters, and how do they make a big name or a name for themselves in the industry?
I mean, just keep doing what you're doing, man. And I mean, I wish I had great advice. Unfortunately, the way I came up, it doesn't really exist anymore. Like I lived in Georgia for 2 years. I lived in Mississippi for 2 years. Then I got the job in Providence. Like you wouldn't do that now. But I would just say create as much content as you can. Be willing to work for low money and just get your foot in the door however way you can, and then just build up a name through that. I mean, I know people that were producers, you know, at WEEI or whatever, working for nothing and working lousy hours. And then it was, hey, what would you say if I just, you know, went to this Celtics game and covered this game, this one game? And then covering that one Celtics game led to covering 5 Celtics games. And then all of a sudden you're the Celtics reporter for the station. And then all of a sudden you're getting traction on the air. And then from there, who knows what that could blossom into? You could become another outlet, a bigger outlet could hire you to do more Celtics coverage for them because you do a good job. So just start small. Don't worry about when you're working or where you're working or what you're making initially. You got time. And just build it up like that and try to get in and network with get to know as many people in the business as possible and make a good impression on them. Don't be a jerk. Don't be an a-hole. Work hard, and people will remember that, and they might look to you if they have an opening or they have a spot or if something comes across their plate that their desk that they need filled. They might think of you. So you got to work hard. You got to create your own stuff, and just be willing to grind.
Absolutely, Mark. You know, grinding and hard work is always a mentality you gotta have, especially in an industry like media or even sports casting, you know.
Yep.
My next question is, kind of branching to a different subject. Celtics playoffs currently going on at the moment right now. Celtics obviously won the championship last year, got banner 18 for the city of Boston. However, this year's path to the championship won't be as easy as last year. Do you think the Celtics will come out of the East, especially considering how Jason Tatum is battling with injuries along with Jaylen Brown?
I think they will come out of the East. I think it'll be a dogfight against Cleveland if it gets to that point in the Eastern Conference Finals, which I think it will get to that point. I think the Thunder could be a different story. If they face the Thunder in the NBA Finals, the Thunder defend a lot like Orlando defends. The problem is the Thunder make shots, and they have a great offense, and obviously the best offensive, arguably one of the best offensive players in the league in SGA. He's probably going to be the MVP. Okay, so the fact that they have that and play that defense, if the Celtics do what they've done against the Magic, they might have a tough time winning that series. They're going to need Kristaps Porzingis to play a lot better, but they'll be right there. I think Jason Tatum's going to have to continue to be awesome. Jaylen Brown, that injury is going to have to hold up, so there's a lot of ifs. They need Drew Holiday back and everybody on board, but I do think they're going to be able to get out of the East. And then I do think that the finals will be a true toss-up with the Thunder. They're that good, and I think it could go either way.
Definitely. One thing I will actually add right here to the subject is the Celtics. You know, besides from just losing Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they are also at the risk of getting Kristaps Porzingis injured. How do you think the Celtics will play if Porzingis potentially goes down in this year's playoffs as he did last year?
I don't think they can win this year. I think he hasn't done much in this series, honestly. he's actually disappointed me in this series against the Magic. I think even rim protection hasn't been that great from him. Um, I don't think they're going to be able to win the championship without him. Not this year. They're going to need his rim protection. They're going to need him to be able to stretch the floor against Oklahoma City if it comes to that. They're going to need him in his length against Cleveland with Mobley and Allen. They're going to need him in there. I think they'll have trouble. They'll have trouble beating the Cavs if they don't have Porzingis full go, just because of Cleveland's length. He's going to probably need to play better, and I think he will. But I don't think it's going to be able to be like last year. They're going to need him engaged, healthy, and fully operational if they want a chance to repeat.
Definitely, Mark. Kristaps Porzingis is just a massive part of this Boston Celtics team, and I'm going to use this to segue into my next question. Last year in the finals, game one of the finals, Kristaps Porzingis was going off in the first quarter. In my opinion, that's like probably at least in the top 5 best Boston sports moments for me as I am alive. For you, what is your favorite Boston sports moment ever, and why do you say it's your favorite moment ever?
I mean, for me, I'm way older geezer. For me, it's when the Patriots won their first Super Bowl. As much as I loved the 2004 Red Sox comeback, to see that first Super Bowl and the run they went on, and then to see it the way they won that game in New Orleans against the Rams that first time, I mean, you just felt feelings you had never felt before. When Brady hit Troy Brown and you knew that this was it. They were in field goal range. They were going to win the championship. You never experienced something like that, especially the Super Bowl. I mean, they made the Super Bowl when I was in like 5th grade and lost, and that was a bummer. The fact that they actually got back there and won it at that time was so crazy to me. That's probably that run. That whole run was. I remember where every house I was at, where I watched each of those games against the Raiders and the Steelers. It was just like totally unprecedented, and to this day, you look back on it with such fond memories. That would probably be my favorite moment when they won that first Super Bowl against the Rams.
Now, personally, I'm a New York Giants fan, and unfortunately, when I first became a Giants fan, they kind of became a suck franchise, kind of like what the Patriots have been like recently. Last year, Drake May had his ups and downs with the Patriots. How big of an improvement does Drake May have to make the playoffs this year, and how well do you think the offense around him will have to do?
Well, they have to improve, like no doubt about it. They have to hit on a few of the draft picks they just made, at least 2 of them from this year. You'd like to think they have a good chance. Will Campbell, Travion Henderson look like they can come in and contribute right away. But they're going to have to learn, Will, how to win games when the other quarterback plays well. They can't win every game 17-13. They got to win some games. Drake May has to be able to get to a level where they could win a game 35-33 or 35-31, like in the 30s, shootout. The other quarterback plays well, but your guy plays a little bit better. They've got to be able to do that if they ever want a chance at the playoffs. They probably need to win about 5 more games at least. That's asking a lot, but if they had a great offseason in free agency. They drafted for needs. We'll see if they're actually able to hit on a few of those players, like I said. And then Drake May will have to do the rest. So they need to have a good offseason, good training camp, and go from there.
As I said earlier, I am a Giants fan. However, obviously I do watch the Patriots when they're on TV and when the Giants are not playing. One thing I did like from Drake May his rookie year is that he's not like not an immobile quarterback. He can definitely run the ball. He can definitely throw deep. However, one thing I'm concerned about with the Patriots and Drake May is that last year they were unable to score more than 30 points. I think once. You might correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they scored more than 30 once. How big of an issue is the Patriots offense going to be this year, and how do you think Drake May will play over under 25 touchdowns?
I mean, I'd like to say over. The big thing will be, how is he protected? Does that offensive line play any better, and can they get a little bit more protection, which would give him a little bit more time, which might give him a little bit more confidence, which would allow other routes to develop, and then I think the whole offense benefits just from that there. If they're able to protect him a little bit better, I think they'll be better off in totality. But some of those playmakers are going to have to step up. One of those rookies or those second-year guys is going to have to step up. Pop Douglas is going to have to step up. And they're going to have to, hopefully Josh McDaniels being back in the mix can add some juice to the offense. But overall, offensively, you're right. They're going to have to play better if they want to get anywhere close to where they want to go.
For sure, Mark. One thing I would like to add is, even though I didn't really like the first round selection for the Patriots and Campbell, the second round selection for forgot his name, Stevenson. I like that selection. I don't think you can really rely on Ramondre Stevenson for years to come. The Patriots desperately need another weapon in the offense besides Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I think Ramondre Stevenson is probably almost a backup at this point. I mean, you can't expect big things from him. He had his time, and now it dropped off last year. He had a forgettable season. They need Travion Henderson, that second round pick, to really. I mean, you spent a high second round pick on a guy. He better be a third round back, a 3 down back, and quickly, because you need him in there to be explosive and to offer something to the offense that maybe a wide receiver isn't offering.
The last time I think the Patriots made a huge selection for a running back was Sony Michel. If they can get a Sony Michel 2018 type of year out of Henderson, that would be a very good likelihood for the Patriots. Obviously, there's 5 months to go until the training or the season starts for the Patriots. So I guess this is kind of early to state, but what is a sneaky early hot take you have for the Patriots this year?
They're going to make the playoffs. I think if you really look at their schedule, now who knows, but it's not that hard. I mean, they've got a lot of winnable games at home, especially. And I think if Mike Vrabel is legit, which I think he is, and some of those guys that they got in free agency come in and make a seamless transition, I think they could make the playoffs, especially with the expanded NFL playoffs, where they have that extra wild card team in there. If the division isn't as good, and the conference is a little bit of a letdown, like we've seen in recent years where, like last year, the Bengals didn't even make the playoffs. They weren't as good as we thought. If another team does that this year, combined with the Patriots' schedule, there's no reason they couldn't be right there for a playoff spot. So that'd be my hot take. They're going to actually get in the playoffs this year.
Let's see if that comes true, Mark. Another thing about the Patriots this year is that the defense, the defense kind of struggled last year, especially without Belichick and as head coach. Do you think it will improve in 2025? My fault. And how do you think the defense will play, especially on the defensive line?
I mean, I hope they've really loaded up. Harold Landry, Milton Williams. They hope that Christian Barmore's back from the blood clots. I think they're going to be really good. They got Carlton Davis in there. We all know about Gonzalez is one of the best young corners in the game. I mean, you got Christian Gonzalez. You got some of those safeties that have been in place. They've played together a long time. You had Carlton Davis. You got a defensive line. You could use a linebacker maybe, but some of those guys have been around. I mean, you'd think with Vrabel running, not running the defense necessarily, but heavily involved in the defense, they would be able to take a step forward and be better than they were in 2024 as well. So that I expect across the board improvements.
Let's see if that happens, Mark. I mean, Patriots defense last year, obviously you have your standouts, Christian Gonzalez, Christian Barmore, who obviously didn't play, I think, at all last year. Last Patriots question for you, is how do you think, or it's not really about the Patriots, but it is sort of related to the Patriots. How do you think Travis Hunter will play for the Browns? Not the Browns. Who did he get drafted by? I forgot.
Jacksonville.
I don't know how I forgot about that, but Jacksonville. How do you think Travis Hunter will play this year for the Jaguars? And will the Patriots regret not losing the last game of the year last year?
Yeah, they're going to regret that. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be really good. I mean, we'll see how they implement him. It's going to be a challenge. That's a first-year head coach, and Liam Cohen down in Jacksonville. They're going to need him to really be organized, Cohen, the coach, on how they're going to use Hunter, how they're going to prepare Hunter every week for games, whether it's offense, defense, a little bit of both. They're going to have to be prepared for that. But, if they can do that, I think that's a great thing for not Travis Hunter, but for Trevor Lawrence, because Lawrence has looked a little shaky in recent years, and they might still be asking questions, is this definitively the guy that could take us to the promise? So you might as well support him as best you can. And they did that this year. Where they've already had Brian Thomas there. Now they've got Hunter. You got the offensive-minded head coach. It all better work out now for Trevor Lawrence, and I think Hunter is going to be a star offensively for them.
I mean, you can play both sides of the field, so obviously you can come on defensive back and wide receiver. I mean, Travis Hunter, obviously it's not a foregone conclusion that he's going to be good in the NFL, but I do feel like the Patriots will end up regretting losing that last game and starting Joe Milton. Anyways, next question for you is kind of a copy of an earlier question, but not really. What is the worst Boston sports loss you have experienced in your entire life?
Oh, I mean, easy. You'll love hearing this. It's when they lost to the Giants and the perfect season went down the drain. I mean, now to this day, I still can't watch highlights of that game. To this day, you would have thought after
Wow.
all they won 3 Super Bowls since and the dynasty came back and all these. To this day, I still can't watch that game. I can't. The Asante Samuel dropped interception, Eli in the grass, he gets the throw off to David Tyree, like all those things. Plaxico makes the catch. Still can't do it to this day. My stomach turns. It's sickening to me. That was easily, far and away, the worst loss of my lifetime. Easily. Worse than any Red Sox to the Yankees or anything else. That game, you'll never get to that again. You will never see, the Patriots will never be undefeated like that again. To be that close to immortality and to history, the season, Randy Moss, all the special things that happened, to watch it and to be up by 4 at the end of that game, to see it all crumble away, easily the worst loss I've ever been a part of.
I was only a couple months old when that loss happened, so I do wish I was at least a little bit older to experience that win for my Giants.
You would have loved it.
However, I would have loved that. I mean, Giants, I mean, hell, they even ended up winning another Super Bowl 4 years later. So,
Yeah.
hearing Felger and Maz the next day on the air would have been amazing, you know? Anyways, I don't even, wait, were they on the air back then or not?
Yeah, for the second Giants loss, they were on. They weren't on yet. For the station didn't exist for the first one.
Damn. I got 2 more questions for you before I'll let you go. Currently you're at 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm not aware of anything else you do. Please correct me if you do anything else besides 98.5 The Sports Hub. What is your favorite on-air host besides yourself?
I mean, from a media perspective, that's all I do. I used to be the full-time TV person. Now I do the radio part-time and I teach. Favorite on-air host? That hosts just whatever, any type of show, a radio show, podcast. I mean, the guy I used to really look up to, he just retired recently. His name was John Anderson. He was a Sports Center anchor. And back in the day, I wanted more than anything to be on Sports Center. That was my goal. That was my dream. I don't know if I can still say that based on the trajectory of TV media and sports media and the way ESPN does business now. But at one time, that was my everything. Like I wanted to anchor Sports Center. I wanted to be able to be one of those creatives that, like I said, those lead-ins, those on-camera lead-ins, doing the highlights. I still think that's what I'm most suited to do. I don't think I'm as good at radio as I was doing stuff like that when I was on TV. But that dream might have died. What can you do? But John Anderson, I thought, was an unbelievable talent. He was an unbelievable writer. He was witty. He was smooth. He looked good on the air and on TV. That was my guy. He was one of my favorite personalities, and it was a bummer to see him retire, but he had a great career.
I did say 2 more questions, but I do have to ask you another question.
Sure.
When you first started doing television for WPRI or hell even WVEI, or I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly. Correct me. Is it WVEI or
Yeah, that's
WEI?
the WEEI Providence affiliate was technically WVEI. Yeah.
All right, thank you. When you first got your first on-air shift, how did it feel like, and how did you prepare? Because obviously you don't know this, but this is my 3rd episode of the podcast. I'm obviously trying to learn a lot of things about sportscasting because I'm a huge sports fan. Can you just, if you will, just walk through how that first on-air shift went?
You just two things. Well, the first shift was, like everybody else, I was nervous as bleep. Looked real like stiff up there. You think you sound great, but then you watch it back and you're like, oh, I don't know, that didn't look very good. But you just got to give it time. You got to just have reps and you got to go through it time and time again. You'll get more and more comfortable. You get more and more smooth. And you just have to prepare. You've done a good job preparing. You want to prepare everything that you're going to talk about. You want to be prepared and know exactly what. I'm not saying you can't make a mistake, but just be prepared. If you know you're going to hit on a subject, you want to know everything you can about that subject. And do what I know you got stuff going on and you're in school probably. I'm just saying you want to prepare. So when you talk to somebody, you don't come off as ill prepared or you don't say something that somebody didn't know or, you stumble upon something that isn't, it's not exactly relevant to the person you're interviewing and you're talking about it and the guy or person you're interviewing is like, what is he talking about? You just want to be prepared on any topic you're going to discuss. You do those things. If you do those two things, you get prepared and you practice and keep getting the reps, you'll get better. And then it's just a matter of, getting lucky, finding an opportunity, meeting the right people and going from there.
Hey, thank you for that advice, man. And, thank you for, coming on to this show. My last question for you today is completely different from all the questions I asked today and all the things we talked about today, but it's kind of been on my mind for the past day and a half. This is a viral argument that's been going viral on like TikTok, Instagram, you know it. And it's, 100 human beings versus one gorilla. Who's winning?
How big is the gorilla? I feel like 100 human beings would win. You'd like to think that the human beings would find a way to put their minds together, their human brains, and outsmart the gorilla or come up with some type of tactic that could slow down the gorilla at least. I mean, it would depend. If it's 100 babies, they're not going to win. But if it was 100 adults with requisite size and, ability to think, I feel like the 100 humans would be able to take down the gorilla in some way, shape, or form if they had any level of ingenuity, even if the gorilla was really big and strong.
I do have like an answer to this kind of a question. I mean, obviously you got like 100 human beings is a lot of people, But like, if it's like Dwayne The Rock Johnson and like John Cena on the front lines, then yeah, the gorilla's going down. But like, if it's like 100 weak human beings and like you got teenagers in there, obviously, I feel like the gorilla is winning.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like you said, it depends on who and what type of profile human is up for the challenge. But yeah, I'll take the numbers and take my chances, I guess.
I guess we'll have to see what happens next week on the program. Well, we're actually we're gonna get a real live gorilla into this podcast room. We're gonna see if everything like goes on.
There you go.
We're gonna see if like how that works. Anyways, thank you for coming on the podcast, Mark. And before we let you go, do you want to plug any of your social media and where people can find you?
Sure. My Twitter is at Mark Dondero or X at Mark Dondero. And my Instagram is at mdonderotv. If you want to check either out. I do more of the sports stuff on Twitter. I don't really do much on Instagram, but I'm there. And you can check me out every now and then on 98.5 The Sports Center.
Hey, Mark, thanks for coming on today, and thank you for the great advice that you gave out. Hopefully we'll see you in a few months, when the Patriots come on, if you want to come back on, obviously. If you don't, that's obviously fine. But yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, Will. Great stuff. Good luck, man.
Thank you.